What's up guys, DuArktik with another Marvel Strike Force video, and in this video we are going to talk about the Undying team. We are going to talk about Zombie Iron Man and Hela. We are going to take a look at their T4s, their ISO weight, which game modes they are best on, and how much you should get up this team, and what you can expect from them, what you can do exactly with them, together with different characters, and overall if it's gonna be a good team to invest or not. As always, if you like the information on this video, make sure you share it with your friends on Facebook and Discord. If you're new to my channel, make sure you subscribe for more Marvel Strike Force content, and make sure you smash that like button. Okay, so let's get started. We are gonna take a look at these two Undying characters, and this is a very powerful team. They are in the same way similar to Eternals, but while Eternals they are very powerful in every single game mode, the Undying they are most powerful in Alliance Wars offense, and in Alliance War offense they are completely brutal, which took everyone by surprise, because if you pair them up with other characters, you can defeat any team that you can find right now in Alliance Wars defense, even the Apex Gamma team, and that's going to be a big deal. Now, for you to do this, you need to have the right T4s, you need to have the right ISO weight, and with that said, we are going to take a look at the T4s for this team, and we are going to take a look at we can take a look at Zombie. We'll take a look at the men first, why not? Okay, so in terms of the T4s for this guy, the T4s they are going to be mostly important for Alliance Wars. Outside of Alliance Wars, the T4s don't have as much value. They still have some value, not as much, so we are going to mention just that. Okay, so in terms of the basic attack, when you do the T4, you are going to apply 2 bleeds rather than just 1. And you have to keep in mind, or you have to remember that every time you apply bleeds, the higher the level of the ability, the more damage the bleeds will do. It has a multiplier with those bleeds. The higher the level of the ability, the more bleeds damage they will do. On top of that, the mind-controlled enemy will have 50% increased damage in Alliance Wars. So this is going to be one of those T4s that is going to influence Alliance Wars, but it also influences a little bit. And this T4 has additional value if you have this character as a striker. If it's not going to be the case, then forget about it. Now let's take a look at the special, and when you do the special ability in Alliance Wars, you are going to apply trauma to the primary target for 2 turns, which is very important for Alliance Wars, and then you are going to get safeguard for 2 turns on Zombie Iron Man. Now, because you don't have a lot of red stars and yellow stars on Zombie Iron Man, this safeguard is going to be pretty much meaningless. So you are just doing this ability for the trauma. Now, because this ability also applies bleeds, if you get a higher level on this ability, the bleeds are also going to do additional damage. So when you do the T4, you are not only doing it for the trauma, you're also doing it for the additional damage on the bleeds, and that's it. Now, in terms of the ultimate, this ultimate ability is extremely powerful. This ultimate ability is extremely important, and once again, Alliance Wars offense. Now, this ability does not apply bleeds, therefore outside of Alliance Wars, not even the bleeds will justify doing this T4. So this is one T4 that is exclusively for Alliance Wars. Outside of Alliance Wars, it doesn't matter. Now, in Alliance Wars, you are going to clear charges from the primary target and the enemy with the highest resistance. Now, depending on where you are using this character, this might be extremely useful. You have characters like Dormammu, you have characters like Red Hulk, and you have characters like She-Hulk that usually have a ton of charges, and if you have the T4 on this ability, you'll be able to remove the charges from those characters. If you remove the charges from Red Hulk, he's going to get a lot slower, and he's not going to be able to do counterattacks, and you can even prevene him from doing his ultimate ability. So this ability is extremely powerful. Keep in mind that it's only available on the second turn, so you have to make sure you know exactly when you are going to use it. I find it the most convenient to use against Dormammu. Once again, this is a Alliance Wars only T4. Finally, we have the passive ability, and this is another Alliance only T4 as well. If the enemies have bleed, they will take 25% additional damage from all sources. So this is another very powerful T4 for Alliance Wars, but outside of Alliance Wars it doesn't do anything for you. So if you don't care about Alliance Wars, this is definitely one you can skip. Okay, so those are the T4s for Zombie Iron Man, and now we're going to take a look at Hela. And for Hela we have a very interesting situation. Okay, so taking a look at the basic attack, she's going to apply bleed with her T4 with the basic. If you do the basic, you're going to apply bleed on top of all the other things. So she attacks multiple targets and she flips Death Proof also into bleed. And once again, if you are doing the abilities that apply bleed, if you level them up to the max, if you apply T4s to them, the bleeds are going to do a little bit more damage. Now, this is not a T4 that I recommend because you are only going to use the basic attack usually on the third turn. It really depends on which matchup you are using this character, but it's usually a turn 3 ability. Therefore, the value of this T4 is going to be lower because you are not going to use the T4 anytime soon. So keep that in mind. Now, in terms of the special ability, this ability instead of 1 bleed is going to apply 2, and it has a very low cooldown, and you can use this ability turn 1, so that means you'll have increased value of this T4. On top of that, on top of 1 bleed, you're also going to apply 2 turns of Disrupt, and that's very powerful. So this is a very decent T4. It's not amazing, but it's a very decent T4. We're gonna take a second look at this T4 in a second, by the way. Now we have the ultimate ability, and the ultimate ability, if you have the T4, you are going to clear barrier from all enemies, so that really depends on the match. Right now we only have one team that has a lot of barrier, so overall this is not going to be an amazing T4. The best part about this T4 is that if Zombie Iron Man is an ally, you are going to spread all negative effects, and this is going to work for every game mode where you can use Zombie Iron Man and Hela together. So keep that in mind. In raids this is not going to be a good T4, but if you are talking about Avengers Tower or Cosmic Crucible, then once again you're going to be able to spread all those negative effects, and therefore this will become a very important T4. Finally, we have the passive. When this character drops below 50% health, if Zombie Iron Man is an ally, summon one additional Undead Asgardian and apply taunt to that Undead Asgardian. This can only trigger once per match. So once again we have a situation that we need Hela together with Zombie Iron Man to have these additional effects. So it really depends. Are you going to use this character in Cosmic Crucible? Then this is a decent T4. If you are using it for raids, you have to keep in mind that it's not going to be that great, and you also have to remember that in a Dark Dimension you cannot use this ability as well, because you cannot use Zombie Iron Man together with Hela. Okay, so those are the T4s for Hela and for Zombie Iron Man. Now we also need to talk about the Undead Asgardian, and why we are talking about Undead Asgardian, it's because the T4s that he has are also important. Now you cannot apply T4s to the Undead Asgardian directly, but you can apply T4s to Hela, that it will influence the value of the Undead Asgardian. So if you do the T4 on Hela, it will influence the T4 for the basic of the Undead Asgardian, but it's only just a little bit more piercing damage, so that's irrelevant. Now in terms of the special, once again, you do the special of Hela, and that's going to affect the special of the Undead Asgardian. If you do the special on Alliance Wars offense, if Iron Man is an ally, if you do the special ability of Greg, the Undead Asgardian, you're going to be able to clear revive once from the primary target. So depending on which teams you are facing, if you are facing Infinity Watch, if you are facing any team with Dormammu, this is going to be a very important T4. You really want to remove those revive once, and that's a must-have. On top of that, the Undead Asgardian also applies bleeds to the enemy, so doing the T4 on the special of Hela is going to increase the value of the bleeds that we are applying with Undead Asgardian. Finally, we have the passive, and this passive is also very important. Once again, you have to do the passive on Hela to have this additional value. So if you do the T4, you are going to gain ability energy on Alliance Wars offense if Iron Man Zombie is an ally. This is going to be extremely important because it will allow you, and it will allow your Gregs to always have the Dark Sacrifice, the special, to be used on Alliance Wars, and this is very, very important. There are certain teams like the Gamma team where you'll not have the chance of doing this after Red Hulk has the ultimate, so keep that in mind. This is going to be the most convenient once again against teams with Dormammu or Infinity Watch or Darkhold, some team like that, every team except the Gamma team. Okay, so those are all the T4s that we have to talk about the Undying. As you can see, some very important T4s. And now we are going back to the game, yes, but now we're going to take a look at my infographic and see the information that we have there, so we can complete the information about the Undying. Okay, so as you can see, we have the T4s. The T4s, this is how good they are, and you can see that some are darker than others. Those are the ones that matters for Alliance Wars. Now, in terms of the ISO weight, we need to talk about the ISO weight of this team. Is very, very important. Zombie Iron Man needs a lot of focus, and yes, it's true that he has a lot of bonuses in terms of focus on his special and so on, but that's not enough. And the reason why it's not enough, it's because you only have him at 4 yellow stars, right? If you take a look what's available for him, some people will have him at 2 yellow stars, 3 yellow stars, 4 yellow stars, and the red stars for him are based on the dark promotion credits, and that's going to be very expensive. So it's very unlikely for you to have him at a very high focus status. So all those bonuses that he has, those are great, but in certain matches against Darkhold, against Dormammu, where the enemies have tons and tons of resistance, it's not going to be good enough. And it's going to be very important for you to land that all your negative effects. So the Skirmisher ISO 8 is going to be your main option if you have your Zombie Iron Man without any red stars, any yellow stars, and so on. It has to be your main option. You really need to apply vulnerabilities, you need to apply the negative effects and so on. It's going to be extremely important. Now, the second option is going to be the Striker. So if your Zombie Iron Man already has 4 or 5 or even more yellow stars, if he already has at least 3 red stars, then you can start thinking about the Striker, so you can increase the damage from the bleeds. I don't find it super important. I still find it more important to have additional focus, so it's up to you if you want to risk it for more damage or not. Now, in terms of Hela, once again, I think it's going to be best to have additional focus, because you just need to land the negative effects. The negative effects are just so important. You have Disrupt, you have Bleeds, you have the spreading of the negative effects. All of that is going to require a lot of focus, and if you don't have the focus, it's going to be very likely that you're not going to be able to win. And in terms of focus stats, you can see right here that she has 24,000. 24,000 is decent. It's not amazing. There are many characters right now that have 30,000, 40,000 focus, and a lot of characters that also get offense up, which gives 50% more focus. So based on all that, I think the Skirmisher is going to be the best option for Hela. Once again, if your Hela is very, very maxed out, a lot of yellow stars, all the red stars and so on, maybe you can consider the Striker ISO 8 option. In a few situations, you can also consider the Fortifier and the Healer. Those are going to give her some additional survivability, but overall, I think the survivability is not important. What's important is the utility And to have the most utility with Hela, you want her to have the Skirmisher ISO 8. Now, in terms of the Greg he cannot have ISO 8, at least for now. The summons cannot have ISO 8, but the summons are influenced by the ISO 8 of the summoner, and that's only the case for a striker and for skirmisher. If you have skirmisher, the summons will have additional focus. If you have striker, the summons are also going to have additional damage. Now, you can only see this in game. Outside of the game, you cannot see this, because the display, it just doesn't show you the increase in value. So keep that in mind. Okay, so that's all in terms of the ISO 8. In terms of promotion credits, if you can afford it, take Zombie Iron Man to 3 red stars. He's a great character. The red stars are going to make a huge difference, and some people say that oh, you should not spend red star dark promotion credits on Zombie Iron Man, you should not gear up Zombie Iron Man. It's not true. You should take him as high as you can. He's going to be a very powerful character, and yes, it's true that he revives all the time, but he doesn't have to revive. You don't get any benefit from him reviving. It doesn't happen anything if he revives, so keep that in mind. And based on that, you want him to be as strong as possible, so you can apply all the negative effects, so you can apply all the bleeds, all the damage, and then you can spread it with Hela. So there is no reason why you want to keep your Zombie Iron Man weak, only if you can't afford it. If you can't afford it, of course, just keep him. Gearing up Hela is going to be more important, but if you can afford it, if you want to take some advantage of Zombie Iron Man in multiple game modes, then it's going to be important for you to gear him up. I just recommend for you to don't put a teal gear on him, because his centerpiece unique is extremely rare. Now let's continue. So in terms of dark promotion credits, if you can afford it, at least 3 stars, 3 red stars, that's going to give you 20% additional stats, and that's definitely going to make a difference. Now, in terms of Hela, I think that she works fine at 5 red stars. She works fine at 5 red stars. If you can afford go higher than that, you should do it, because she's an amazing character. She applies tons of bleach, she heals herself, so she gives her own sustain. She has the Gregs that are also influenced by the stats of Hela, so the higher your Hela is, the stronger your Greg is also going to be, and the more devastating all of her abilities are going to be. So based on that, I would still take her to 6 red stars. Would I take her to 7? Maybe not. I think 6 is fine, 5 is fine as well, but she's such a versatile character that you want to make sure that she's good enough to use her in the multiple game modes where you can use her, like Cosmic Crucible, Dark Dimension. Yes, you can use her solo Dark Dimension, and also in Alliance Wars and Avengers Tower and so on. So speaking of the game modes, let's take a look at the best game modes for these characters. And you can see that Hela together with the Zombie Iron Man or by herself, she's going to be amazing in Blitz. In terms of arena, there are a few matches where they can be useful, not that many, so not super important there. In terms of raids, you can use Hela together with Morgan Le Fay, with Deathpool in raids. They are going to be extremely useful together. Greg is also somewhat useful in raids, not super important. Zombie Iron Man is not important at all in raids, unfortunately. In terms of Dark Dimension, once again, Zombie Iron Man not important at all. And Hela is extremely important in Dark Dimension. She's one of the best characters right now for Dark Dimension, for the Cosmic Nodes. The only reason why she's not a 5-star is because she's extremely expensive and she requires Mystic Gear. You need Mystic Gear for Eternals, and you also need Mystic Gear for her, so that might be a compromising factor in terms of her value. But if you can afford to take her there, she is just amazing together with all those other characters. Once again, Eternals, even Phyla-Vell and Moondragon, they are also very good together with Hela. In terms of Alliance Wars, of course, 5 stars for both of them because they are amazing. And in terms of Avengers Tower and Cosmic Crucible, 4 stars for both of them because you want to use both of them together. And also because in these game modes you can choose exactly which enemies you are facing, and therefore you can always win using these characters. So not the best characters, not game breaking like the horseman characters and so on, but overall they are still very, very good. Hela has a lot more value than Zombie Iron Man, but both of them together, in whichever game mode you can use them together, they are just going to crush those game modes. So yeah guys, that's going to be the video. I hope you guys enjoy it. T4s, ISO weight, how much should you gear up these characters? All the way to the top. These are such an amazing characters, and because it's only 2 of them, you can pair them up with pretty much anyone. You can pair them up with Dormammu, with Eternals, with Weapon X, with New Warriors, with Secret Avengers. You can pair them up with literally anyone, Kestrel also for example, and they are going to work very, very well. Of course, make sure that you are using them on the right game mode, and that you are facing the right team, because if you are facing teams like the Astonishing X-Men or Symbiotes or anything like that, then this team is going to be destroyed. Also the Wakanda, so be very, very careful against those teams, because they hard counter Hela because of Greg. Any team that gains turn meter whenever they kill an enemy, you want to avoid those teams as much as possible. But beyond that, this is an amazing team. This is a very, very powerful team, and I think they're going to have a lot of value for a very long time because of how flexible they are. The same way that you can pair up Eternals with anyone, these guys, the Undying, they are also going to be as good based on that. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to smash that like button, and if you found the information helpful, make sure you share it with your friends on Facebook and Discord. You can find all these infographic on my Discord. The link will be in the description if you want to join. And if you're new to my channel, make sure you subscribe for more Marvel Strike Force content, and I will catch you guys later.